In truth, my journey with film began with television all those years ago. Children's animation shows like Danger Mouse, Mighty Mouse, and Quackula. Even then, as a very small boy at 3 years old, I was pulled into the worlds created by these shows and their fine details, especially the slapstick nature of Quackula compared to the far more serious tone of the other two. Quackula would often find himself defeated and on the ground, tapping his fingers in sequence in front of him.
Well, I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with fire up. I've never been with anything less than a 9. So fine, I've been on fire with Sally Field, gone fast with a girl named Bo, but somehow they just don't end up as mine. It's a death-defying life I lead. I take my chances. I die for living in the movies and TV. But the hardest thing I ever do is watch my leading ladies kiss some other guy while I'm bandaging my knee. I might fall from a tall building, I might roll a brand new car, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that made Redford such a star. I've never spent much time in school, but I taught ladies plenty. It's true, I hire my body out for pay. Hey, hey, I've gotten burned over Cheryl Teague's, blown up for Raquel Welch. But when I wind up in the hay, it's only hay. Hey, hey, I might jump an open drawbridge or Tarzan from a vine, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that makes Eastwood look so fine.
Then at night, I would spend my nights being amazed by the rough and tumble adventures of Colt Seavers and his very attractive sidekick, who was played by Heather Thomas. I didn't realize until recently that he also had a male cousin as a sidekick. Or I was being educated by Nova, which an episode actually saved my life the very next day. The episode taught me how to perform the Heimlich maneuver on myself. Like I said, the very next day, as a 3-year-old child, I didn't know that I shouldn't stuff my mouth full of bologna and I should chew my food properly. However, I did remember how to Heimlich myself. However, as time progressed, I was either 5 or 6 years old when I found The Maltese Falcon and The Roaring Twenties, classic movies from Humphrey Bogart and James Cagney. They were two different approaches to filmmaking. The Maltese Falcon, a dark and complex thriller with multiple twists and turns, introduced me to the fact that there are people who can betray you, people who can double-cross you, people you cannot trust, and you never know who is going to be. Just don't trust anyone, especially characters like Joel Cairo's eyes. And then there was the very violent first time, the gangster movie, that is, The Roaring Twenties. From what I can remember, I felt the rage, the anger, and the determination of Cagney's character. I was moved by his portrayal, and I also was very afraid of this violent man. He felt so real to me, as if he could be outside anywhere, and I didn't want to be the one to cross his path. One day, in a car ride with my parents and sibling, the adults were talking about the differences between Betamax and VHS, and which one was better. The Betamax was smaller, and the VHS much larger, etc., etc., etc. At the time, I didn't know why they were having that conversation. All I knew was that a short time later, we entered a video and record store. 2 floors of movies, records, and posters. Film posters of movies that I would stare into as they were oil paintings and landscapes, or people doing things together. I was transported to a new world that I never imagined could exist. This world was where I wanted to belong, and I wasn't even 9 years old yet. This is where I discovered every genre of film: musicals, action, adventure, science fiction, fantasy, animation of a certain brand. And I discovered more in the way of drama. That is, drama became what I understood drama to be. It was after this excursion of discovery was when I watched Gone with the Wind for the very first time. And from what I can remember was the vibrancy of the film, the many people on the screen, the clothes they wore, how big the women's dresses were, and how different Scarlett O'Hara's dresses were different from all of the other women. She was so kind and so gentle. She was around everyone, but also how she became a different person around Rhett Butler. Around him, she was more angry, and she almost never had a nice thing to say to him or about him. But then, Rhett and Scarlett would kiss strongly. A very confusing thing to me. If this was love, why didn't it make any sense? Nonetheless, I would watch that movie many times by myself. And another thing that really stands out in my mind, it was the fact that Scarlett had a very good ball gown made from her window drapes, green, I believe. But a few tape exchanges later, we ended up with a tape that had a very interesting title. It was called Out of Africa. I can remember staring at the title for some time, wondering if something would be coming out of Africa. I didn't know much about Africa at the time, but I thought that they were talking about elephants. I haven't seen it in a while, not since then, but I do remember beautiful scenes. Meryl Streep's character really hating Robert Redford's character. I remember her standing under a really big tree, and the movie being 3 weeks longer than Gone with the Wind. In fact, I didn't understand why people everywhere liked it so much, and why it had so many Oscar nominations. It was the only drama that I did not like. There would be a period after Out of Africa in which I don't remember watching any serious dramas. Instead, my time will be filled with genres such as TV dramas, such as The Thornbirds, Rumpole of the Bailey, Sons and Daughters, and Neighbors. Action movies such as Predator, RoboCop, and Commando. Sci-fi fantasies such as Legend, Robotech, and Doctor Who. Comedies such as Ferris Bueller, Crackers, and Coming to America. I was there for Batman, Buckaroo Banzai, and Beetlejuice. All very entertaining and enjoyable, some of which may be covered in an upcoming episode. I didn't truly return to film drama until the 1990s, in an era of which the performances and the stories became much better. The scripts were much tighter. The stories were much better, with the direction being much clearer. But this was post-1991. The Silence of the Lambs, which was the most notable film of the era, had a very intriguing story and a good cast of characters. However, the dialogue could have been better performed, and the acting could have been refined a lot more. But it felt more like a TV movie, not truly a big screen movie. Nevertheless, the story is still an enthralling one, and its nail-biting moments still require your full attention. The main draw for me of this film was more curiosity about how Jodie Foster progressed in her acting abilities instead of the content of the story. You see, beforehand, I watched the original Freaky Friday, which starred Foster. The Ballad of the Lambs would only allow me to take in her acting maturity. By the release of Braveheart, I found that something else had begun to happen. Something that never happened to me in over a decade of watching every genre of film. I was enchanted by the main actresses on screen. Two very beautiful women who equally relied on their beauty and also didn't rely on their beauty to tell their stories. It was my awakening, so to speak. Catherine McCormick portrayed her strength and her pain. Then there was Sophie Marceau. I found myself lost and frozen in her stare. It was intense, beguiling, and she used this magic to get her way and to melt the resolve of all of those that looked upon her. It would also be in this era of the mid to late 90s that the acting performances in dramas became more finely tuned. Those days of terrible accents, like the one used by Meryl Streep in Out of Africa, would soon be a distant memory. This era of performances was filled with the most gripping acting from Leonardo DiCaprio, Daniel Day-Lewis, Robert De Niro, Robin Williams, and many others. This too was an era when leading roles for women didn't just go to knockout beauties. Acting ability took priority. We would see Kate Winslet for Titanic, Emily Watson for The Boxer, and Brenda Blethyn and Jane Horrocks for Little Voice. Then there was Kristen Scott Thomas and Juliette Binoche for The English Patient. I believe society would call these women strange beauties, all producing more real-life performances in their roles. Before, the acting was more like pretty women acting, and it felt like they were acting. However, now, they felt more like real people, being real people on screen. If you looked at their faces, you could see that they portrayed every emotion, their eyes, the creases around their mouths, little inflection points in their dialogue. It really makes the characters seem more like you were watching a documentary of a real-life person. As the 2000s came near, acting became more like real life. I would also move away from picking dramas at random and move towards following the bodies of the work of each actor and or actress. I first discovered Monica Bellucci on The Matrix Reloaded. That was because in over a decade of watching films, I hadn't seen a single foreign language film. And there she was, very beautiful and playing a very mysterious character in a form-fitting costume. She seemed like she was innocent and a victim of her circumstances, but those eyes were very untrustworthy. They carried a burning secret. There I was, enchanted yet again, and to the point that even now, I can't remember what happened in those scenes around her. Afterwards, my Monica Bellucci journey took me backwards in time to one of her darkest roles, something that I hadn't seen before in film, especially not the way it was presented. That movie was irreversible, and that scene was a brutal rape, of the character who was played by Monica Bellucci. It felt so real, the brutality and its aftermath. I don't often get emotional, however, I felt her sorrow. She was broken and bloody, shaking and in shock. I felt the same rage that her boyfriend felt, who was played by Vincent Cassel, after he found out what happened to her. It was also the first time that I discovered the work of what I call a shock director. This work was done by Gaspar Noé, and I would later experience the works of other shock directors like Gus Van Sant and Lars von Trier. Irreversible, though, was made on a modest budget, and like all films of the like, relied on stellar performances produced by its cast members. Performances that were far more powerful than those that we saw in Sinners. Sinners truly won the Oscar because the world was severely starved for excellent movies. Movies that sparked the imagination, that came with a big score, came with good acting and good story, and even slightly moderate CGI. All this interest in Monica's acting abilities led me to a movie that had very good reviews. It is called Melina. I didn't know what to expect, which is the way I operate, going in as open-minded as possible, but hoping for the best. The entire film was beautiful. It was shot beautifully, acted beautifully, and the set, well, it was set in a beautiful location. Monica played the most beautiful woman in town who had the attention of everyone whenever she went anywhere. She was clearly uneasy about all that unwanted attention, and she was also in mourning as she recently became a widow. The director used a few long shots of her walking, feeling the eyes of all the town all over her. You can fall in love with Melina and also feel very sorry for her for what is happening to her and what she has to go through. No surprise then that the majority of the women in the town hated her or resented her. What do you think happened to Melina? I selected to watch The Beach because of all the hype around it, and it also starred Leonardo DiCaprio. And he usually does a good job of picking the right movies by that point. I can't remember much of what happened in that movie. However, I do remember discovering both Tilda Swinton and Virginie Ledoyen. Virginie trapped me with her eyes. She acts with her eyes, those sultry and flirty eyes, paired with her dulcet-toned, gravelly voice, grasped all of Richard's attention, and my attention as well. Her performance was enough to intrigue me to follow her career, though. And just like that, I began my journey into foreign language films, and especially the French kind. The French have a unique way of approaching films. 8 Women was a French production, a whodunit set in a house with 8 women trying to figure out who killed the man that they all loved, for different reasons, obviously. What can I say about this movie? As a character-driven movie, all of the characters played their parts excellently. Virginie played Susan, the prodigal daughter who had a secret, who wanted to tell another secret, but she wasn't the only one with a secret. This was filmed with very talented French actresses. It was also a pleasant surprise that this work of art is also a musical, and we saw Virginie singing. It was no surprise to me then that she was featured in a love song with French language singer star Adam Cohen. Kristen Scott Thomas is a woman of mystery. Every time that I see her on screen, it seems to me that she has always a secret that she's holding back. A secret that she will wait to the very end to release in her memoirs. She's the epitome of a versatile actress. I first saw her in Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible franchise, but the next time I saw her was on Anthony Minghella The English Patient, where she was given lots of space to show her acting range. The interesting thing about Kristen Scott Thomas is that she is fully fluent in French and regularly takes roles in France speaking only French. I will go further to say that in her French language roles, she often plays characters that she doesn't play when in an English-speaking role. In an English-speaking role, she plays sophisticated characters, posh characters who are always up higher on the social ladder, so to speak. In France, her roles that she usually plays are more down to earth, more of the middle classes. Her English characters would hardly ever associate with her French characters. Frankly, I've always preferred her French characters on films such as I Loved You So Long, Sarah's Key, Love Crime, The Woman in the Fifth, and others.
You're not extending enough on your follow-through. Follow-through is everything in golf, just like life. Don't you find? Saw your Scarface picture. Violent.
Realistic.
Movies are movies, Howard, not life. Now the stage. The stage is real. Real flesh and blood, human beings right out there in front of you, Buster. Can't look away, can't munch popcorn, that would be rude. Do you like the theater?
No.
Oh, I adore the theater. Only alive on stage. I'll teach you. We'll see some Ibsen, if the Republicans haven't outlawed him by now. You're not a Republican, are you? Couldn't abide that. How did you vote in 32?
Well, I didn't.
You must. It's your sacred franchise. Heard you were wooing Ginger Rogers. What about that?
She's just a friend.
Ha! Men can't be friends with women, Howard. They must possess them or leave them be. It's a primitive urge from caveman days. It's all in Darwin. Hunt the flesh, kill the flesh, eat the flesh. That's the male sex all over.
Excuse me?
Well, if you're deaf, you must own up to it. Get a hearing aid or see my father. He's a urologist, but it's all tied up inside the body, don't you find? Me, I keep healthy. I take 7 showers a day to keep clean. Also because I'm what's so vulgarly referred to as outdoorsy. Well, I'm not outdoorsy, I'm athletic. I sweat. There it is. Now we both know the sordid truth. I sweat and you're deaf. Aren't we a fine pair of misfits? 3. Noble effort. So I suppose you're wooing me now. Oh, well.
This woman, this actress, is the chameleon that has the power to completely immerse herself in any role. It is not an exaggeration that we rate her as the best actress of all time. Never mind of the hoopla and hype that surrounds Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep is a good actress. However, she does not rise to Kate's level of acting. Meryl does have a lot of accolades on paper. However, in practice, she is very similar to Denzel Washington and Nicolas Cage. It's just themselves playing other characters. As far as I can recall, the only movie in which Streep played the most differently to herself was in Sophie's Choice. Cate Blanchett, however, doesn't just play different characters. She becomes different characters. Take a look at her filmography. From Galadriel in the Lord of the Rings saga to becoming like Katharine Hepburn in The Aviator. Kate spoke in Hepburn's accent, she moved like her, She talked like Hebron spoke and used Hebron's sense of humor. She became the cold and heartless and shallow entertainment reporter Bree Evan T. in Don't Look Up, and the smart and sometimes mysterious Dr. Lilith Ritter in Nightmare Alley. She went from being Lydia Tarr to being a recruiter in Squid Games.
You know, I just despise the getting to know you part of relationships. So.
Oh, okay. I understand.
Okay, let's just get it over and done with. So, my grandfather invented the flash freezing process, so I come from grotesque money, but I got away from it by getting 3 master's degrees. I've been divorced twice. One was a Secretary of State, and the other one was a sport fisherman. I have slept with 2 former presidents. I speak 4 languages, and I own 2 monies.
Wow. 2 former presidents. Wow. My turn. All right. Well, my father was a middle school geography teacher. My mother, she cut hair out of the kitchen. About 2 years ago, our family dog Jojo died, which was really, really emotional. I can't remember crying that much ever. And I finally got my my Star Wars poster signed by Mark Hamill. It's in the garage. It's yeah.
Okay, good. That's done. Mr. Carlyle, come in.
Slow day.
Have you not heard? We're at war.
I'm aware. How did you know it was me?
What brings you here?
You left me your card, didn't you?
So, here we are.
Oh, not me. I never drink. Microphones.
That's right. Wire recorder.
You recording this?
No. My office is wired to record all analysis sessions.
You got a smoother line, but you run a racket. Same as me.
Is that what this is?
There is, however, one role that stands out in my mind because of the tragedy connected to it. It was another biopic in which Kate becomes the person that she played. It was the story of Veronica Guerin, an Irish journalist who intended to do her job no matter the cost. But the Irish criminal world was not too interested in her reporting on them. This woman became, as you would expect, a real-life person. She played Guerin to the way you would expect her to play. We saw her hopes, her dreams, her laughter, and her lead foot. She made a connection with us, the audience. She made us care about Veronica and worry about her. Her Irish accent and sense of humor was really very good. But then, yes, the real-life events caught up with her. And seeing that play out in detail was very heart-wrenching and very hard to watch. But of course, that is what drama is about. The human connection, its power to move its audience and to declare that it is the way it is for better or worse. No apologies for being an entity that can make you laugh or make you cry. May the genre of drama entertain you for many years to come.
Charlie, that fellow in the top hat just going out. Isn't he the one from the Foreign Office who was over at my house the other day? Hayashi?
Yeah, why?
Oh, nothing. Just checking, thanks.